Well, thank you. It's great to see you here on what is another cold night. But fortunately, we have some wonderfully warming wine to drink, and I see you're all drinking that. It's incredibly important that you drink the wine because you have to experience the wonderful wines that are, of course, Cape Barren sponsored tonight. Can I just welcome you all? My notes say I've got to do some housekeeping, so the loos are in that direction. If you've been waiting to find out, I'm sorry, they are just round there. Smoking is not permitted. Please turn your phones on silence, and emergency exits, I believe, are kind of out that way, and there's one out that way. So I think of Paul Shaw at this moment because he normally says, "Follow me, I'll be running out screaming." And it's he always says that when he assumes that nobody's ever heard that line before, and he wonders why there's a pause and crickets. But anyway, Paul's not with us tonight. He's unwell, and I think, don't know about you guys, but we've had this kind of flu-y thing rip through us. And how many people have kind of been suffering? Yeah, hold your hand up. Just me then. Okay, great. All right. Can I just absolutely thank our sponsors, Austrade, Adelaide Oval, Cape Barren Wines, Channel 7, Coopers, the wonderful Department of State Development we've got a great relationship with, EFIC, of course, and we're going to hear tonight on what's happening there, EPA, Flinders Ports Holdings, Kangaroo Island Spirits, Novatech and Perza. Now, why are we here tonight? Well, because if there's one thing that needs to be the heartbeat of this state, it's export, trade and inbound investment. We all know that we're not going to change our unemployment and underemployment issues by relying on a domestic economy. We have to put our export plans on steroids, and tonight we know we're an SME state. We know 98% of businesses here are SMEs, but we have an extraordinary opportunity still to really, in spite of being the SMEs, we can do something quite special, and we are absolutely committed. I was saying to the Minister before, our first line of our Constitution is we're here to grow the economy of South Australia. Well, I can't imagine a more important way of growing the economy than in creating new export markets, new trade partnerships, and of course being open to inbound investment. So we are absolutely delighted to host this networking event around export tonight. This is a bit of a preliminary event as we come up to our Export Awards in a few months' time. And I'm delighted to say that there's been so much interest. We're going to take what has been one of the best export lunches and we're going to convert it into a dinner at the Adelaide Oval, which will be 600 or 700 people with media, and just an extraordinary event. So I really encourage you to be a part of that. Now, one of the big issues that we've got is getting people to actually put in applications. We know that everybody hates paperwork, I certainly do, but you know the good news is if you want to chance your arm and put in an application for part of an export award, then we're going to help you. We're going to get an intern, very smart young person with probably 3 or 4 degrees to come and see you, and they will spend an hour and a half with you, and they'll even write your application for you. I mean, how easy can we make this? I just want to appreciate the Minister writing to people and encouraging you to apply. You can't buy this kind of marketing. You can't buy this kind of brand exposure. And so we really do encourage you to do that. We want to make it as easy as possible. And Victoria's down the back. Can you wave your hand, Victoria? She's only little. She's down the back. So if you want to book a time with an intern, please speak to Victoria. We would love as many applications as we can. We'd love you to be part of this amazing celebration, so please do that. Okay, just quickly before I introduce the Minister, 2 things. One is you guys have got an early version of our Pulse. The second, thanks, Nick. Do you want me to pose for a moment? Yeah, just sucking in the 6-pack there, yeah. So that's the Pulse. It's our quarterly amazing, it's all about business. It's all about where business is going. Please get it. It doesn't have a photo of me in it like the first one, but I'm sure that's fine. You'll still cope with that somehow. It's based on 15 years of business metrics. Nobody else has had 15 years of business metrics. We're very proud of it. We're proud of our relationship and our partnership with Statewide Super. Please get one. But before I hand over to the Minister, I just want to talk about our very, very appropriate export coaching, business coaching group that will deal with export, getting people ready for export. The program consists of 10 3-hour monthly group coaching sessions held here. Only 10 people in a very important focus group. And that's the beginning of understanding how to get ready for export. We appreciate that everybody's on a journey. You may have never thought of export. You might be thinking and wondering whether you should be doing it. You might have started the process and you might be into it. But what we'd like to do is to begin this pilot program on how people can start to really respond to the opportunities in export. Some of the greatest, I talk about this quite often when I'm at the Export Awards. It would make a glass eye water, some of the stories, seriously. I mean, they are some of the sort of lump in the throat stories. You hear of these people who just have never considered export, and 2 or 3 years later they're in 60 countries. It's turned their lives around, it's turning our economy around, it's turning our employment around, and you can be part of that, and we want to be part of making sure that you have every opportunity to be part of that wonderful, your wonderful story will be out there as well. Anyway, without further ado, I just want to thank the Minister for being here tonight. Martin Hamilton-Smith, Minister for many things, but tonight, of course, investment and trade. And Martin has had enormous support for us as the Peak Chamber of Commerce, having come from industry himself, having been part of running an industrial association, an industry association. Martin gets it. We really, really appreciate the relationship we've got with you and your department, Martin. Without further ado, welcome. Please give the Minister a hand as he comes.
Thank you, Nigel, CEO Business SA. It's just great to be here tonight. To all of you, there's a lot of familiar faces in the room. It is terrific as the Minister for Trade and Investment, Defence Industries and Small Business to be here, because all of those three things are really crucial to you and to Business SA. Now, I'm just delighted to be a partner with Business SA in the cause of growing exports and creating new investment. It may not come as a surprise to you to know that 65,000 jobs, that's 65,000 meals on the table every night. There are 65,000 families enjoying a meal tonight based around employment connected to selling our goods and services. That's the extent to which selling our goods and services impacts on families and homes right around the state. Now, that might be wheat, it might be wine, it might be an advanced manufacture. I was at EasyFit today, a company with a multi-million-dollar turnover producing highly advanced and highly sophisticated manufacturers for everything from submarine periscopes right through to mining equipment. It might be a service, it might be an architectural company or a legal company or even a media company or a tourism business, but they're all selling goods and services and they're putting 65,000 meals on the table every night. Our challenge is to grow that, and that growth is actually occurring. In the last 12 months, we experienced a lift up in wine exports, for example, of 13.4%. That's a very significant growth in wine. It's about $159 million pumped into this economy from overseas. Because the beauty of an overseas dollar is that $159 million has come in new. It's not come in from a bank account in Australia somewhere. It's not circulating around within. It's $159 million of new money coming into Australia from outside, and the people that have earned that income are buying a new house, investing in a new business, putting the kids in private school, or building something which is generating new jobs and growing the size of our economy. Wheat was up 150 million or 12%. Copper which is very important to this state, went up 104 million or 9.1%. Vegetables and fruit is up a staggering 22%. Overseas markets can't get enough of our vegetables and fruit. That's $102 million, and other commodities including barley, which goes into beer in places like Shandong, up 13.6% or 313 million. Now that's billions of dollars worth of extra revenue. In fact, it's a very, very significant sum indeed. Now that's why, as a state government, we've put nearly $20 million towards trade and investment. It's gone up significantly in the 2 years I've been the minister, for good reason. Because as Nigel pointed out, this is the growth area. This is the area that will create new jobs and new investment and new opportunity. Too often we pick up the newspaper, we open it. They love negativity, the newspapers. So what you'll hear about is Holden or whatever is closing 1,500 jobs. You won't hear about the 2,700 new jobs at, say, Thomas Foods, one of the biggest meat exporters in the country, 300 containers a week to 62 countries, $1.5 billion worth of premium meat, principally coming out of Murray Bridge, far bigger than Holden. You don't hear that story. Or the companies where there's 70 jobs here, 100 jobs there, 50 jobs there, they're all over the place in Adelaide, they're exporting. Combined, they more than outweigh the automotive industry. And we need to fertilise that growth. Now, between the 1st of July 2015 and the 30th of April 2016, through a program we call Trade Start in the Department of State Development, and Martin England's here today, so if you want to know more about Trade Start, talk to him or some of his people who are here as well. We helped 41 companies to achieve $24 million of export sales and 12 new distribution agreements. More than 80 companies signed up to the Trade Start program. So I'd encourage you to look into that Trade Start program. It might help your business. Another program we're running is called the Export Partnership Program. Now, a couple of years ago, this program was floundering. We couldn't get the money out the door because there was too much red tape and process involved in getting the applications submitted and the money out. We've reinvented the scheme. More than $2 million of funding was awarded to 87 businesses. This is up to $50,000 to help you to prepare your materials, set up your websites, get yourselves overseas, perhaps on a trade mission, develop marketing plans, develop the export component of your business, and it's matched money. So, we put in an amount, you put in an amount. The next EPP round closes on the 26th of August, so have a crack at it. Again, DSD people are here tonight who can help you with this application. And then, of course, there's the Business Missions Program. For the first time, this state now has a regular program of outbound and inbound trade missions to every one of our principal trading regions in the world. It's never happened before. 2 or 3 years ago, occasionally there'd be a trade mission, the Premier or a Minister would go, businesses might be invited, often at short notice, to attend. Usually it was the bigger businesses that came. Now we've changed fundamentally the whole way we do business. Now we go to China. This year in April, we took 300 people, mostly businesses or government agencies with a product to sell, and it was business matching. We went to a little Chinese town of about 5 to 7 million called Yantai. It's called a third tier city, and the wine forum at this thing, it was like a party. You walked into the room, all the winemakers were around the room, and Yantai in Shandong, it's one of the biggest wine growing districts in China. All the Chinese came in and there were deals being done. One lady I spoke to there sold her entire capacity for the year that afternoon. She only did about 10 or 15 containers and the whole lot was gone by the end of the afternoon. So there are opportunities. We're realising those and we're doing it differently now. 300 to China. We're taking about 80 to India. We took recently 85 people to the Philippines, Indonesia and Vietnam. We've got a Southeast Asia mission going off to Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand in about 4 weeks. We're doing Japan and Korea, and I hope Taiwan. We're doing the Middle East. We'll do a MENA program in October. I'm in Europe in 2 weeks' time. We're taking a full mission back in October for Euronaval, the biggest naval and military exhibition in Europe, and for Cial, the big food expo in Paris, because of course Europe and France in particular now with the submarine decisions has become a really important part of our story, and Europe is going to be an important part of the future for us. With or without Britain, it'll be Britain and Europe, or Europe and Britain, but I can tell you we'll be doing business with all of them because, and by the way, that's up 22%. Our trade with the EU, including Great Britain, it's going up, not down. So be involved in one of our business missions program. Come and have a look. And they're designed for businesses who may be selling products now overseas or interstate, by the way, because if you're selling to Victoria or New South Wales, you're exporting. You can do it. If you're selling to New South Wales or Victoria, you're already exporting to foreigners. All right? No, I'm only joking. And it's a small step to then take that product to China or to Taiwan or to the Middle East or to the US. You just need to come and have a look. Stick your head up over the fence, have a look at the opportunity there. You'll be gobsmacked by it, and you could double or triple the size of your business through being smart. And that leads to my next point, and that is that if South Australia was a small state like Luxembourg in the middle of Europe, or if we were a state in the middle of the US, or a province of China, and on that side of the border we had a competitor, and on that side of the border we had a market, our mindset would be different. Our mindset would be different. We would be thinking more competitively. But because we are in Australia, a long way from markets, and in South Australia, because we are removed yet again a long way from the eastern states, you can be very relaxed and comfortable selling to Coles and Woolworths until Coles or Woolworths cancel your contract and 50% of your revenues go out the door. Talk to Spring Gully Foods about that. Or you can be smart. You can diversify your customer base. You can ensure that exports are a substantial part of everything you sell, and you can ensure that no single purchaser has got you exclusively and can kill your business overnight by holding you to ransom over price or over product. Exports liberate your business, and that is a very important point. So look, this is a partnership between the government, DST, and Business SA. There could be no better representatives for your business than Business SA. Our premier business leaders. This is a great organisation. I was a member of it for many years myself when I was in business, in a family business. Industry associations like Business SA and other associations, and there are many of them, really should be leading our export drive. And I know under Nigel's leadership, Business SA is doing exactly that. So I would encourage you, please, be part of these awards. Going through the process of being part of Business SA's Export Awards will cause you to think, reflect, reorganise, and gather up your business. And that in itself might lead you to new opportunities, which you should seize and carry forward. So Nigel, thanks for inviting us along today. Again, ladies and gentlemen, good luck to you and all of your businesses. You are employing, you are creating investment. If you're making money and running a profitable business, we're all winning. The state government's winning because we love to tax you and build hospitals and schools with it, but you're winning and making a profit. Your lives are advancing, your families are advancing, and you're creating jobs for people. So if you're winning, we're all winning. So go ahead and win some more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's great. Thank you very much. Just without embarrassing Martin, I just want to let you know that as an independent in Cabinet, he's managed to prosecute a lot of policy positions that we support in a way that I don't genuinely believe, with a great respect to Cabinet, that they would have got up. I just want to acknowledge Martin has quietly worked away to get a number of key policies up that would have never seen the light of day, and I just want to acknowledge that, Minister. I think you've done that without fear or favour, and you've got in there and you've fought for our members. So yeah, by all means, that's acknowledge that. Just very quickly, Anthony Penny. Anthony, do you want to turn around and wave? Anthony has come on board in the last 6 months, is it, roughly? Well, it seems like a lifetime, he told me, but he's on board. Anthony joined us having been the Regional General Manager of Qantas, on a stellar career path on Qantas, but he believes more in the state and he wants to be part of our future. Anthony now runs our international area and our policy area. Anthony was on a number of those trade missions that the Minister was talking about, Shandong, and obviously the one up in Philippines, Vietnam and Indonesia. I'm going to, with the Minister of India, massive opportunity, and yes, overwhelming in many ways, but we have to go and have a look and be part of it. And later on I'll be with the Minister in Japan and Korea. We're doing this because we believe in these trade missions. We believe that we need to go. We believe we need to take our members there. And can I encourage you, tonight is about you thinking differently. You know, we always think that's possible. Let's think outside of the normal square, and I think, as the Minister said, we'll all win. Export's the future. It's really a great pleasure for me to have Andrew Perkins here from EFIC, and he's got some very interesting things to say. And so I saw Andrew here he is. Please welcome Andrew as he comes, just to talk about some of the wonderful things that those guys are doing. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Nigel. Great to be here, a room full of exporters and people who are fighting the good cause for exports. I'm sure a lot of people in this room don't know what EFIC stands for, let alone what we actually do. So I'll spend a quick minute just explaining what we do. So EFIC stands for the Export Finance Insurance Corporation. We are Australia's export credit agency. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, we are owned by the federal government, but run independently. We effectively run like a bank, albeit with a significantly different risk appetite, with a sole purpose of wanting to increase the number of exports from Australia. In a practical sense though, why would exporters come and talk to us? Well, our role is basically to finance Australian SMEs when their bank is unable to provide finance. So if you're an exporter and you've got a great contract, you win that contract and need funding for that, you go to your bank. If the bank gives you the money, great. You don't come and talk to EFIC. But if you're growing, and you're growing quickly, with all these free trade agreements, with all these fantastic state government missions, there's going to be growth in exports from South Australia. If your bank is unable to assist, rather than cancel the contract, you come and talk to EFIC, we can assist. But finance is not just our main game. One of our other key roles that we believe we need to play across Australia is in the thought leadership space for exports. So if you're not following EFIC on LinkedIn, please do. Also check out our website. We put out a range of information relating to exports, planning, financing, market entry. We've also recently released a white paper on innovation in export. It's funny, and we're having a chat before about what innovation means, they basically took half my speech, so I'm not going to repeat a lot of it, but when I hear the word innovation, I cringe a bit, to be honest. I guess a wall of cliche, and innovation is a word that would have probably got on there. Innovation shouldn't be a buzzword though. Innovation isn't about a groundbreaking technology or anything like that. It's about small changes in your business that can have a very big difference. And that's important. As part of this white paper, we outlined 6 key points around innovation. One being product innovation, that's the obvious one. So to design a new product or change a new product. But it's not just about that. It's about delivery to market, delivery innovation, business model innovation, so changing the way the business operates, flexibility, how do you engage with your customers, process innovation. So what does that mean? Actually changing from start to finish what you're doing, little changes that can make a big difference at the end. Marketing's always a big one. So communication, how you're engaging with that outside world, and financing, and that's where EFIC can sort of play a small part in that role. Outside of that, I'm not going to go through this entire white paper. Certainly come and have a chat to myself, my offsider Liam. Put your hand up at the back, thanks. If you want to know a bit more about that, get our card, we're happy to send on the details. But it does actually have some really good case studies from Australian businesses that are doing small pieces of innovation that are making a big difference. Unfortunately, I was hoping they were going to be in the room, but there's two really good South Australian businesses that I will highlight. Firstly, Aztec Paints. I'm not sure how many people here know of Aztec Paints, but they manufacture paint. And off the top of your head, you're probably thinking, that doesn't actually mean a lot. But they changed their product slightly such that the paint becomes a bit stickier, a bit closer to rubber. Now, that has enormous applications in earthquake areas. No surprise, they're shooting the lights out in Japan, where earthquakes are obviously front of mind across the board there. Similarly, FCT Flames, who's a client of EFIC's, I use this all the time as a great case study. This is a business that started as a specialist industrial combustion business, so doing big flames for a whole range of different things. They changed their business model and have started producing ceremonial flames. So they provided the flame for the 2000 Olympics. They provided the flame for the Southeast Asian Games. This is a business that has changed their business model based on innovation and is now a global leader in what they do, based in the back streets of Thebarton. You wouldn't know it driving down Port Road and then turning left, turning right. You wouldn't know. The message in the white paper is pretty simple though. Innovation is key to export success. And it's not that buzzword innovation, it's the small changes that can make a big difference. Innovation should be part of your export plan. Have a chat to Business SA about what that means as part of your business plan. Have a chat to DSD, have a chat to TradeStart, and come and have a chat to EFIC about what innovation should mean to your business. Just to finish up on, I'm actually pleased to say that EFIC actually practices what we preach around innovation. We recently launched our small business export loan. There's actually some brochures at the back, so thanks to John from Business SA for handing those out. This was launched about 3 months ago, and this is changing the way small businesses get finance for their exports. If you're a small business that turns over up to $5 million, we can provide you a loan via our online system. You can have the money in your account in as little as 9 business days. You have to have been trading for at least 2 years, have been exported at least once in the last 12 months, and have a purchase order available that we can fund against. You can have the money in your account to help fund your growth in 9 business days. That is game changing. If you're a business that turns over more than $5 million, come and chat to us. We have other options for you. It's a bit more structured though. But certainly if you have any questions about EFIC or what we can do, come and have a chat to Liam and myself, or have a chat to Business SA and they can put you in contact with us. Thanks again to Business SA and have a great night.
Thanks, mate. Well done. Excuse me. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Thanks, Andrew. If you're getting the theme, there are extraordinary opportunities available. There's EFIC. Who are the people from DSD here? Can you just stick up your hand? There's some people down the front. Great. Can you come and see these fine gentlemen down the front? There are so many opportunities for you, whether it be training courses that we're running. Anthony's team, we do a full range of everything from obviously supporting trade missions through to training in the export space for export ready, of course, through to migration and visa services, through to translation, you name it. We've got a one-stop shop here. Obviously, export documentation. We're the only organisation in the state that can give you export documentation for any free trade zone for any product or service. And we're very proud of what we do. But it's a joint effort. It's a team effort with the state government, with the federal government agencies, with us as the Peak Chamber of Commerce. And we're all in heated agreement. We want to see this state grow through export and trade. So it's very, very exciting. Now, it is my great pleasure, and I hope you're all drinking some of this. It's apparently it'll put, take 5 years off. I was going to say put 5 years on, but I meant 5 years off, sorry, Rob. Certainly fantastic wine, and it's particularly great because Cape Barren Wines won the Export Award for the small business section in 2015. it's just one of the thousands of stories, whether it's the back streets of Theberton, the mean streets of Theberton, or whatever it is. We come across amazing stories. I wrote a column on Rising Sun Pictures a couple of weeks ago. Global business right here in Adelaide. There are many of you here who are in services, I know that. The free trade agreements are amazing for you because one of the first things that comes off the cabs off the rank is services. So there are so many opportunities. Please stay after Rob has a chat and I sort of say g'day and good night. But without further ado, it's great to have Rob here. It's great to be drinking these wonderful wines, and please give him a hand as he comes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nigel. I feel a little bit the humble one being up here after the previous speakers, but I was asked to come along and perhaps give you a little bit of actual background and information about doing this application for the Export of Wine Awards, because, as Nigel mentioned, we were very, very fortunate to win last year. So something I'm very, very particularly proud of, and it's something that I would encourage anybody to actually have a go at it, because you never know. As I found out last year, I was sitting at the luncheon, and I think I was sitting next to John at one, and he said, "Oh, I think your name's been called. I think you better go up there." And I didn't believe it. So you never know. So. But a little bit about Kate Barron. I've been asked to just have a bit of background information. Pardon me, because I am still suffering a little bit from, as Nigel spoke about. Mine got a lot worse. I actually got pneumonia, but I'm just sort of coming out of that. But so please excuse my voice. But Kate Barron, it was a company that was started by two grape growers in McLaren Vale in 1999. And the two grape growers were very, very good at what they did as far as grape growing, and they developed a couple of very, very good relationships. They fell into a couple of them overseas. They had a very good distributor here in Australia, and unfortunately, one of the grape growers got very ill late 2009, and they decided they were going to sell the business. And we were fortunate, my business partner and I, Tom Adams and I, were in the right place at the right time. So we purchased it in early 2010. And I think the grape growers had taken it as far as it possibly could with their limited knowledge on sales and marketing. But Tom and I both had background experience in export, and had operated in myself in a very large company. There were two large companies, in fact. One was Hardy's Wines, originally when I first started in the wine industry, and then a company called Step Road that became within the top 30 companies within Australia, and mainly based on about 70% export. So we thought we were going to actually grow the business quite rapidly, and all based on export. We have been very, very successful at growing the business, and in the 6.5 years since we've owned it, we've averaged about 19% compound growth. So it's been quite a success story. However, it's been about 50-50 export and domestic. And one thing I can really, if there's one thing I can actually emphasise most strongly tonight, is whilst you actually should try and concentrate on export, that I think make sure that you've got a very, very strong home base, because we've seen just in this last week, we never know what comes around the corner in export markets such as Brexit. Who knows what that influence is going to have, maybe short term, maybe long term. But if you've got a strong home base, then you can survive all of those. And then when you get involved in export, make sure that you actually diversify as well. And we've managed to get into now 13 countries across the world. We're only a very small company, but we are making sure we spread our risk by being involved in a lot of countries. When we bought the business, we only had 2, and we've now added another 11, still working on a number of others. So there are great opportunities out there. And one of the things that I remember Nigel hit me with only about 9 months ago was that of the South Australian companies, only about 4% actually export. And I nearly fell out of the chair when he told me. But so I think if there's one thing I can do, make sure that you actually look at export, because it is a critical area of growth, not only for your own business but the state, and that will rub off on everything else we do. But I can only also give some advice that it's not an easy process. It's a process that does take time. It does take a lot of building of relationships, because you're dealing with countries with very different cultures than our own. So make sure you do a lot of homework and a lot of ask as many questions as you can. Be involved with all these government departments that have been spoken about tonight. Be involved with Business SA. They're great for actually having this sort of information feedback and helping. So I don't go on too long. Just briefly about the Export Awards. I think I was encouraged to try it last year. And I was a little bit daunted by it when I first actually looked at it, and I thought, there's no way in the world we would do anything, we're too small and everything else. But I can encourage everybody else to actually give it a go, because the one thing that I got out of it most of all was that it actually made me look very, very closely at the way we'd actually run the business and the way we'd actually grown it. It sort of introspectively made me question a lot of what we'd done. I was happy with a lot of what we'd done, but it made me actually look at 2 or 3 other things that maybe I could have done better. So the fact that it can take a lot of time to actually sit down and do the application, and whilst Nigel has said there are interns here that can help you, I think it's great for your own self-discipline to actually try and do it yourself. So never actually think that it can never happen to you, because I'm firm evidence that it can happen, and so I encourage everybody to actually try it, and I mostly encourage everybody to have a go at export. One of the things that Nigel spoke about is also keeping an open mind about what markets are available. I think we fall too easily into following traditional markets that have been successful in whatever business we're in. I've been successful right through 20 odd years of exporting by going in opposite directions and finding other markets. And if there's one thing I can finish on, I think there are markets very, very close to home here. Indonesia, for instance, is an absolute classic. That the economy there is developing so fast. In 2000, I may have these figures slightly wrong now, but in 2000 I think there was 4 million middle class people, and there's now more than 50 million. It's got a GDP almost identical to Australia's, and if we think about Indonesia being maybe a third world country and Australia being first world, we shouldn't actually think about that, but think about opportunities. There are always opportunities everywhere in the world, and we should never close our mind off to any one of those. So thank you very, very much for the opportunity tonight. Thank you, Nigel, for allowing us to put our wines on. We hope you enjoyed them all, and good luck to everybody. Have a go at it.
Well done. Okay. Thanks, Rob. And we can say we genuinely enjoy your wines. Terry Mills, who was the former Chief Minister of the Northern Territory, is a good mate of mine, and he just gave me a quick lesson in our perception, and I think, Rob, that's a very good point. We have assumptions about countries, and he said, you think Indonesia is a Muslim country, and of course it is. It's very much an Islamic country. They have 20 million wine drinkers in Indonesia, but you make the assumption that there are none. But out of 100 million people, there are 20 million. That's more wine drinkers than in Australia. And what I love about trade missions, what I love about the meetings like this, what I love about hearing from people like Rob, who's been there and done that, small company in how many countries? 13. These things are real. And today is about asking the questions. Great advice, Rob. And we hope, you look at the application for Export Awards and you go, you know what? It's great that it challenged you, Rob, to say, are we running this business well? We'd love to think that every part of this process would help you run a better business and have better opportunities. That's all the talking. I just want to thank the Minister again. Thank you so much for your support in coming. Andrew, where's Andrew? Oh, down there. Andrew, talk to this man about that. That's a better deal you're going to get from your bank, trust me. Of course, Rob, fantastic, and thank you for the wines. Wonderful. There's plenty of time, ladies and gentlemen. There's some food and nibbles. There's plenty of amazing wine. There's some Cooper's beer. I just want to thank all of our sponsors again. And can I say, make sure, what's the date, Victoria, for the big event? 5th of October at the Oval. The Minister will be speaking. It will be a huge night. It will be a massive production. Business SA tends to put on events that we hope have got a wow factor. That will have some amazing wow factor. We're going to have some surprises on the night. It will be one not to miss. We want to see all of you there. Please spread the word. And tonight, please stay, network, ask the questions, ask our staff, and of course the wonderful people from various agencies here. There are some very interesting supporters of export here. We of course have Qatar Airways. It's lovely to see Denisa and Stephen here. Paul from Emirates. We've got some world-class airlines who are helping out in our export and trade market. We're very fortunate to have them here, so please go and talk to them about what they can do for you as well. But thank you for coming. Please stay. If you need to go, that's great, and I'm sure the Minister needs to go, but if you want to grab them on the way out, that would be good. Seize them on the way out, but please eat something and have something to drink, and thank you so much for coming.